Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your host and your boy Don Mohsin here, welcoming you to Flashy Knowledge, the podcast, my informal talk around business, entrepreneurship, life, and everything in between. So, welcome to episode 2. Episode 2 is around when enough is enough. And this is going to be kind of a hot topic for a lot of us, including myself. This is something I recently went through and not too long ago went through, and I'll kind of explain what I mean throughout the podcast. But yeah, when is enough for you in anything in life? Whether it's you want to make a change to your body, whether it's you want a different job, whether it's you want a better relationship, whether you want to I don't know be a better person. What's your line? When have you reached your threshold to start making that change? And if you even have one. So it's a little bit of a scattershot topic, but it's something that a lot of people bring up, a lot of people talk about, whether it's just to find out, whether they should have something like this, or whether they want to know whether you have something like this, or whether this is even a normal topic to discuss. I hear about this in a lot of different flavors, so I wanted to talk about this. It's something very very near and dear to me. And I want to kick off with a couple of statistics here. So those of you following me on social media have probably seen this, but there's a Gallup poll, and they took a survey around, probably around a couple of areas, but two that really stuck out. And this is worldwide, by the way. They found that 85% of people worldwide hate their jobs. And I'll repeat it because I know it's kind of sounds hard to believe. Well, actually, maybe it doesn't. But anyway, 85% of people around the world hate their jobs. So if you do the math, and you can, feel free to fact check me on this. If you do the math, we spend almost as much time working as we do sleeping. And last time I checked, sleeping took up I think half our life, around there, something like that. So we spend an enormous amount of time, whether it's half-life or something around there or something less. We spend an enormous amount of time working. And the fact that 85% of people hate what they do, it's just mind-boggling. And, honestly, the old Don would have told you, hey, this is just normal. It's what you got to go through. People hate their jobs, but you got to pay your bills, and that's just life. But the new me would say there's something wrong here, something crazy wrong, and not enough people are doing something about it. The other statistic I wanted to share with you is the fact that I think that around the same poll or the same study showed that only 15% of workers are engaged at work worldwide. I mean, wow, 15%. Dude, that's crazy. It's just mind-boggling. And I think the survey included either a million or millions of people, quite a large number. So that's a lot. So combine 85% of people who hate their jobs and the fact that only 15% are engaged. We're not happy at work. We're not engaged. And employers don't think about this because they just don't. A lot of them are just clueless to this type of basic human stuff. And, I can attest to that. I've lived that. I've been there. They don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. They're just worried about bottom line and useless metrics, but they don't realize that, dude, if I got someone at work and he or she is only 15% interested in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, I'm not getting the best out of that person, and my company will suffer in the end. So I just wanted to start off with these stats because these are very powerful things. A lot of us are unhappy, a lot of us are not engaged, and we go through life thinking this is normal. We go through life just being miserable. And, I see this all the time. It's crazy how many times I ask someone what they'd be doing, if they didn't have their 9 to 5, and it's something completely different. But then at the end, they always circle back and say, well, that's just my dream. We can't always do that. Or, hey, but it doesn't pay the bills. And, of course, there's some truth to that. I definitely understand that. But it's the fact that we give up, we don't even try, or we don't even attempt to try to live our best life that really gets to me. And look, I told you I was going to bring the connection back to me. A few years ago, I probably, wanted to move up I definitely wanted to move up the chain in the corporate world, be a VP and all that. That's what I was about a few years back. And, slowly I changed over time, and I realized it's just not, it's just not for me, and that's a personal thing. Maybe it's for you, and that's perfectly fine. But sitting around, stuck in a cubicle, working for someone else with a mission I don't connect with, and just kind of wasting my skill sets, feel like I'm wasting my life, there's no fulfillment, just not for me. And, so I reached that threshold, and a few years ago, that threshold to me was just kind of, I don't know, you can call it a dark place, you can call it depression, you can call it confusion, whatever. We all have different names for it, but I was definitely in a tough spot where I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought I was going to feel fulfilled, in that path, in the corporate world, and I realized I was the reason I was so miserable is I was fighting what I was really feeling, which is, dude, this is not for me. And, so I embarked on that journey where I opened my own company, and I started to get some of that fulfillment, that fire back in life, because I felt like I was working for something that I was enjoying, and it meant something to me. I had true enjoyment and happiness then, and it was great to have that feeling back. And so since then I've been trying to start my personal brand, get my company up to speed, get it running, and I've been working steadily towards that. And that's kind of the engine right now in my life that's keeping me going. And then recently, just dealing with some situations at work where perhaps I'm not feeling empowered, and you may have different ideas and perhaps better ideas, but a rank will always outrank you at work, and so you kind of feel it leaves you feeling diminished and kind of belittled almost. And I'm sure you guys have all been there, hopefully not too often, but it happens. That's just the way the business world works. So if the lack of empowerment, the not having the connection to the work you're doing, feeling like you can do more but you're limited by your environment and the people and the leadership, so it caused me to, I guess, go through another one of these, thresholds where I've had enough. And so each time I go through this, I end up, it's kind of good and bad, and I'll explain. It's good because I come home fired up, and then I kind of triple down, and I cast my net to get freedom, even wider. So I'll start doing different things, I'll work harder on things, and so in that sense it drives me, and it's good. And it's obviously kind of bad because you don't want to go through that. It does add negativity, it kind of drains you, and you don't want to have to deal with that dark stuff in your life. But all in all, it did help drive me. And the reason I'm going on this long spiel about this is because look at those stats, look at what I've been through, and I reached another point where I was like, what, I gotta get even more serious about this. So I'm trying to get freedom myself, and trying to take bigger steps towards that freedom that I want. And for me, that's obviously being an entrepreneur, working for myself, being able to take care of my friends and family, eventually getting to a point where I can try to help some of the problems that we have going on in the world. These are the things that drive me, and it took me quite some time to realize that there's an actual career path to this, like philanthropy and charities and just events for people and for causes. And honestly, it's just not taught or talked about very often, so it doesn't really doesn't really make it into many conversations. So that's kind of what I'm aiming towards and what I want to do. And these recent events where I've kind of like, yeah, that's enough. It helped me fuel. It helped me start the engine to triple down and start working towards this. And so I'm telling you this because a lot of people I talk to don't have any thresholds. They are miserable. They hate their life. They just keep assuming this is just what needs to be done. This is status quo, and I'm going to just do this till I die, and that's it. Honestly, probably for the vast majority of people, I will say that going to college, getting a job, getting benefits, finding wife, husband, whoever, finding a significant other, getting married, kids, the car, the home, 401k, and then you die, that is the trajectory. And for those of you who think that that's the ultimate life and that's fantastic, that's great. I say to you, that's great. Do your thing. And I'm not sure why you're listening to this podcast, but hey, do your thing. That's perfectly fine. But there's more to life than that, for sure. And a part of it is about finding your fulfillment. A part of it is finding what drives you, what you enjoy. Because to me, life is just too short to be miserable like that and just go through life on autopilot. And a lot of people that I have worked with in the past and that I work with now, they are on that autopilot where they're just paying bills, they're just going through the ropes. And when I talk about the things I'm doing, I can see that. I don't know if it's jealousy, I don't know if it's embarrassment, but there's some. I guess it depends on who you talk to. There's some weird thing that goes off in their face when I talk about, hey, I'm starting up a personal brand. I'm trying to motivate people. I'm trying to start up my own company because I don't want to, be stuck in a 9-to-5 forever. You can see it in their face because maybe perhaps a while ago they thought the same thing, or they didn't want to be stuck in a 9-to-5, and they just, unfortunately, they got stuck on autopilot, and here they are until they had this conversation with me, and I kind of woke them up and was like, oh shoot, like this guy's doing something more with his life. So, what's your threshold? When is enough for you? If you're miserable at work, if you're miserable in relationships, if you're miserable with, I don't know, at school or whatever, what's your threshold where you're like, enough is enough? This is when you need to start making changes. And it could apply to anything. It's not just about a 9-to-5. It could apply to anything. Your weight, business goals, life goals, relationships, a couple of things I mentioned at the beginning. So don't think it's just for one thing, whether you need to quit your job or not. It could be for anything. The point I'm trying to make is you need some type of threshold where you're like, this is the line in the sand for me. I'm either going to, follow this career path or I'm not. At this point, if I see this, I'm out of here. Or, I want to be treated in this way in my relationship. And if I ever see something like this, I'm out of here. You need to have thresholds in your life, because if you don't have them, who will have them for you? Nobody. It's your life. People will take advantage of you. Corporations will take advantage of you. Management will take advantage of you because you're not standing up for yourself. You don't stand for anything when you don't have your own thresholds. So get your thresholds first and foremost. What's your line in the sand where enough is enough for you? And then, kind of, I don't know, and let's say you've already reached that threshold and you're already steaming past it, then my question to you is, what are you waiting for? Like, what is it? Is it fear? It's most likely fear. Most of the time it's fear. But, what is it? Fear? Is it, lack of resources? Is it, judgment? What are you waiting for to make changes in your life? Most of the time, we don't have our own little cheerleader or coach who's going to be, there with you every day and saying, hey, let's make changes to your life. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. We've got to step up and do it ourselves. And so what you need to ask yourself is, what are you waiting for? If you want to make changes to your body, to your business, to your life goals, to your relationships, whatever, start making those changes now. There's no reason to wait. So what are you waiting for? Why wait another day to start making changes? You can make changes today. There are little things you could do today to start a better life for yourself. And if you always come up with a million reasons and a million excuses to not do something, well, guess what? You're always going to have a million reasons and a million excuses to do something. But at some point, you've got to listen to your emotions and your feelings. And if you feel trapped, if you feel miserable, and if you feel like you're stuck, dude, that's your body and your brain and your soul telling you this is not for me. So do yourself a favor. Start making changes as soon as you can and stop waiting. Stop waiting for some magical thing to happen where you wake up and you say today is the day, because you can make today the day. You don't have to wait for someone else to tell you it's the day or something to happen to you. We're all waiting for some miracle where something happens and our life changes or someone helps us make that change. But the truth is that change has to come from you. When I wanted to make changes to start waking up earlier, even though I'm a late sleeper, late waker, I had to make that change, and nobody helped me with that. Nobody came and coached me and slapped me in the face in the morning and said, wake up. I had to deal with those battles and the successes and the losses that I still have today, right? So I'm just trying to get you to realize that those changes have to come from you, and you need to stop waiting to make changes in your life. Otherwise, all you're going to be doing is waiting for things to happen to you, and you'll wake up one day regretting basically not being able to do anything with your life because you're waiting for something that never happened. So it's a little bit dark. I understand it's a little bit dark and a little bit blunt, but some of us really need that. And to be honest, even I needed that, right? I needed this. All these influencers I watch who are kind of this blunt, I'm thankful for it, because I don't want anyone to sugarcoat real life, real talk like this, because this is what life's about. This is real stuff right here. And some of us just need to take that cold water and splash it in our face and say, yeah, today's the day where I make that change, and my line in the sand is here, it's crossed, and I'm ready for something else. I'm ready to change my life. And I promise you, when you make that change and you realize it, when you realize that today is the day you're going to make that change and that you've had enough, you will start to immediately feel happier, because you're working towards something that's fulfilling in your own life. And honestly, your brain, soul, and body will thank you, because it's been waiting for that. So it's as simple as this. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to your heart, your soul, everything. Use it all to make those decisions around when enough is enough for you. And if you don't follow Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a big influencer, social media, and pretty much motivation, pretty much everything under the sun. And I really like some of the stuff he proposes. When you start entrepreneurship or a business or anything around there, a lot of us focus on money, and I'm guilty of that as well, right? When I first started the company, it was all like, oh yeah, I want to make more money and all that stuff, until I realized I was really doing it to help people. And to me, fashion is about the people, not the clothing. And I just enjoyed the relationships I built and the smiles I put on people's faces when they got a chance to wear the stuff that they love. And I was missing that by just trying to hunt for money. And so I really appreciate the fact that he says we need to flip the script. It's not about money. Our happiness should be the end goal. Because he brings up a great point that, there could be people making $50,000, a year that, I don't know, talk about, NFL or something. Maybe have a YouTube channel around NFL or Twitch channel around NFL. And they're so freaking happy talking about something they love all the time. Yeah, they're not making a shit ton of money, but they're happy, right? And most of us chase money at the beginning. We're willing to sacrifice our happiness and what we want out of life for it. But is that really the right answer? And, now that I've lived many years in the business world and I've started my own company, I realize that is not the right answer. Sure, money is nice, don't get me wrong, but someone who's emotionally driven like me and empathetic, if I even said that right, it's either empathetic or emphatic, one of the two. Someone who's driven like me will never enjoy being able to take money and not be fulfilled. I was able to do it for a little while, and to be honest, even to this day, I'm still doing it. However, I'm working my way to get out of that rut, and that's what keeps me happy, is knowing every day I'm working to get out of it, not just accepting it and then just kind of moving on, saying, "Oh, this is life, I guess." So make happiness your end goal, and forget about money. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. You obviously need money, but what I'm trying to say is happiness should be your end goal. Don't make money everything, because money will come when you're delivering value, when you're providing valuable content, when you're connecting with people in a valuable way. That money will come, but you need to be happy first if you want to give happiness to other people. So make sure your happiness is number one. And the problem is most people do nothing and then they regret it later. And I can tell you, I've had many conversations with elder people or even older people who have a long list of regrets later in their life. And guess what? Time is not something we can ever take back. So isn't it worth fighting to be happy? And isn't it worth fighting for that fulfillment? A lot of us give up way too soon, but isn't it worth it for you? Because life is just too short to be miserable and be on autopilot. So that's kind of my ending for today, is fight for your life, fight for your happiness, and don't end up with a shit ton of regrets later on in your life. Draw that line in the sand. Know when enough is enough. Make sure you have some threshold for yourself when enough is enough. And when you know it is, then it's time to take action and stop waiting for some magic to happen to you, and instead make those changes in your life. And with that, we'll close it out for this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you, I'll talk to you during the next episode. Don Mohsin out.